Hey people, it's me again, Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist. And in case you're unfamiliar with me, I have a background in exercise and sports science and nutrition science. Currently working on a Master's of Science in Medical Cannabis Science. And I'm currently live on my IG page. I tend to go live on IG and I repost it to YouTube. But I'm going to start doing more lives on YouTube as well. So definitely be sure to follow me in both places, okay? And again, in case you're unfamiliar with me, I have committed my life to studying all the ways to take our body to its highest level. So hence my name, the Body Scientist. It's really because you have scientists who seek to control nature, and then you have scientists who seek to understand it, right? I'm the latter. I seek to understand it, okay, and how this whole system, how our bodies work and how they work with the environment. And I did a video earlier about, I've been on this cancer kick lately because actually before I got into exercise and sports science, I was a biotechnology major. And what I wanted to do was become a scientist and research cures for genetic diseases. So I was like a nerd about genetics since the 90s and became a nerd about infectious disease as well, okay, since the 90s. So since the 90s, cancer and infectious disease, since I was in high school, has been something that I've been an avid student of, okay? And so I didn't go the route of becoming the research scientist. Instead, I decided to become a practitioner to help people. But I thoroughly use my critical thinking skills and dig through research and make connections. And so right now I want to have another talk about ovarian cancer, endometrial cancer, gynecological cancers in women. And this is not going to be, I'm not done with all my research, so this is going to be brief. I will have my more in-depth videos where I go more in-depth and add the things that I haven't said in my first video, in my live. I will put the rest of it on my subscription. So if you don't subscribe to my subscriptions on IG, you might want to do that if you want more information, okay? Okay, so I'm very much a critical thinker, and there's a lot of things that, I'm also a sacred sexual educator, okay? So I'm very much into the sacredness of sexuality, the healing powers of sexuality and sex, how that affects our health and our longevity, okay? And that's not something that is honored or taken seriously a lot of times in medicine and health conversations. And a lot of people, a lot of sexologists, people who've gone to school, they become a licensed sexologist. I almost never agree with the type of things that they say, because for me, yes, good sex and orgasms and a good sex life is important for your health and your sanity and all that stuff. Has many good properties. But also the things that you do during sex and the type of products you use also can play, also matter. And there's been a lot of indoctrination, okay, when it comes to health. And if you follow my videos, if you follow my work, you know that almost everything that I talk about is the opposite of what the powers that be tell us, okay? And so almost everything that they tell us is healthy, the opposite is true, okay? They tell us don't be in the sun when you need the sun, okay? The sun has healing properties. We shouldn't be avoiding it. We shouldn't be wearing sunscreen. I don't care if you're black, white, or anything in between. You should not be wearing sunscreen. If you wanted to check my videos out on that, check it out. You know, they tell us don't eat cholesterol when we need as much cholesterol as possible. You know, so almost everything they tell us the opposite is true. So with that being said, I'm going to say, okay, gynecological cancers are becoming more common, but I'm really going to focus on ovarian cancer with a little bit of the other stuff, okay? And I'm like I said, I'm a nerd, I'm a detective about these things. So to me, my approach to the body is always why? Like, why is this happening? Why are we seeing more of an incidence in something? If you're seeing more of an incidence in something, like I remember being, I don't know if I was like in my early 20s, I remember thinking, why is there an epidemic of STDs, okay? These so-called STDs, and I put it in quotes because all of them, they're basically contact illnesses. Like, you can get them without having sex. You can get herpes, you can get all that stuff without even actually having sex, right? Just coming in contact with it physically. But they've all been around since before humans, with the exception of HIV. They've all been around since before humans. And so it's like, how did that become such an epidemic? That it's been these so-called STDs, these viruses and bacteria have been on this planet since before us. And this 100 years ago, it wasn't an epidemic, and all of a sudden it's an epidemic. So what is that about? And I used to ask that question, and I came up with the answer from research, and I have other videos where I talk about that. But it has a lot to do with microbiomes. Okay, I've been doing videos since 2010 talking about the importance of maintaining your microbiome. Your first line of defense against all infectious disease is the good bacteria. Okay. And we have a microbiome on our skin, we have it in our gut, we have it in the vaginal canal, okay? And it's critically important to maintain the microbiome, okay? Not just for your immune system, okay? Like I said, it's your first line of defense against all infectious disease, viruses and bacteria. So we have to be conscious and go to great lengths to make sure that we protect our microbiome, okay? So I don't use antibacterial soaps or antibacterial hand sanitizers. All through C19, I never used that. When I was traveling in Mexico and they wanted to spray it over your head and make you use it before you went in a place, I walked around with my own little natural bottle. Okay, this is actually rose water, but like I'd get rosemary water, I don't know, whatever, and be like, I have my own sanitizer, and just spray my own hands. I don't use that stuff because it kills all of the bacteria. I'm not going to get into a super long lecture about microbiomes, but I do have videos where I speak about that. I will post them below on my YouTube, under my YouTube. But I'm gonna make a note so I don't forget to do that. Hold on, because sometimes I say this and I forget. Okay, so if you are on my YouTube, I'm going to post those videos. Hold on, I'm going to post, okay, the microbiome videos. Yeah, somebody said, all learning process. Okay, I'm not going to read it, but yes. So let me stay focused. Okay, so not only is microbiome critical with your immune system and coming in contact with all infectious disease, but it also regulates your metabolism, your hormones, a lot of things that you crave. A lot of disease states are linked to your microbiome, okay, along with vitamin D deficiencies and stuff like that as well. And so for me, like with condoms, for example, we've all been told that safe sex is with a condom, okay? And most people are so indoctrinated with that even if someone says, I don't like them, most people jump to a mindset of fear of, oh my God, this person's disease infested. The only way we can have safe sex is with this latex or polyurethane, condom that is covered in chemicals. Now, does anybody ever ask now let me say something else about my approach to health. I don't believe in trying to solve one problem by causing another, okay? So imagine trying to prevent an infection, okay, which can actually be prevented in many other ways that make more sense. It's not going to be detrimental to you. But imagine trying to prevent an infection and giving yourself cancer. So then you have to ask yourself, which one is less detrimental, an infection or cancer? Like, which one would you rather have? Would you rather have a skin infection or skin cancer? Would you rather have an upper respiratory tract infection or lung cancer? Which one would you rather have? Which one do you think is easier to cure? Okay, so that's one question to ask. So when people have been, and there's so much, fear and stuff placed into sexual education and sexuality. So a lot of people already think like sex is dirty, it's nasty. If somebody gets an infection anywhere else in their body, it's, whatever. But if they get an infection in their genitals, everybody judges them like they're just the grossest, worst person ever. But they don't do that. There's a person that keeps getting an ear infection or keeps getting toenail fungus or keeps getting an upper respiratory tract infection. An infection is an infection. It doesn't matter what part of the body it's in. An infection is an infection. And we can always come in contact with infectious diseases. Whether or not from the air you breathe, from the water you drink, the food you eat, okay, all of that, we can come in contact with infectious disease at any moment. Look what happened with C-19. People didn't know that this virus is floating around to people who were already severely ill. And then they told us. So you got to already be prepared. That's the reason why it's important to protect your microbiome and make sure your immune system is strong. And that starts with the microbiome and vitamin D. Okay? So now if you understand that our skin is absorbent, right? So you shouldn't put anything on your skin that you cannot eat. Things go, get into your body, into your blood very easily from topical applications. Okay, so that's why I'm also anal about what to put on my skin. But not only is the skin permeable, but the mucous membranes are the most permeable tissues in the body. So where are mucous membranes? We have them in the vagina, in the anus, okay, in the mouth, in the nose, okay. They're super permeable. Vaginal tissues are the most permeable tissues in the body, okay. And so if you're putting something, the women have to be very conscious and aware of what you're putting in your vagina, okay, and what you're putting around it, okay, and on it even, okay. So now I like to put things into perspective. Does anybody ever question and wonder and ask what is on these condoms, okay? Even scientists who wear latex gloves in the lab a lot end up getting latex allergies, okay? So then they say, oh, we'll make a non-latex condom, polyurethane and all these other things, okay? Does anybody ever go read research on these chemicals? I mean, on these not chemicals, on these materials. Does anybody go read research on polyurethane and latex and really dig, okay? Because if you just Google, the first things that come up in Google, a lot of times is not the truth, okay? So do you know how to dig through research and really evaluate? Because I've been doing that for 20 years, right? So, and this is why I've never been a vegan. Because 20 years ago, when I knew really smart people who were vegans, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to say anything because I respect this person. This person is someone who I think is very smart. So maybe it's something I don't know. So I was quiet for some years, and I just combed through the research. And I never found anything in the studies that I read that at all demonstrated or made me think that being on a vegan diet was a good idea, ever. So I never did that, never recommended it to anybody, okay? So I'm thorough with my research and my critical thinking. So back to the condoms, okay? In women's vaginas. So first we have, latex, polyurethane. Then we have the chemicals that they put on the condoms, spermicides, which are just like antibacterial agents that kill all the bacteria, the good bacteria in a woman's vagina. That good bacteria, it's critical that a woman maintains her vaginal microflora, just like it's critical to maintain your gut microflora, and it's critical to maintain the microflora on your skin, okay? There are times that I've gotten cut pretty bad. Like I stabbed myself in the hand with a knife back in 2007 by accident, like stabbed myself deep. Never went to the hospital, never got stitches, I didn't even clean it off. 2018, I ripped my navel ring out my navel training on the pole. I mean, it was like mangled and like not even fully out. Didn't clean that cut. Okay. Went to the hospital the next day. They told me, if you would have came yesterday, we would have gave you stitches. But they didn't. They gave me an ointment to put on it. I didn't use it. I used cannabis oil and some another salve that had herbs in it. That had calendula. I know calendula was one of them. So I used that stuff and aloe, okay? Didn't get an infection, okay? And I healed it perfectly. You can't even see the scar, all right? So if your skin microbiome is good, if you get cut or something, you're not going to be getting infections. That happens when people have a jacked up skin microbiome, okay? And there are natural things like aloe and coconut oil, which are highly antimicrobial, okay? which kill all kinds of bacteria and viruses, but they do not kill the good bacteria. There's absolutely no reason to use artificial hand sanitizers and antibiotics. That stuff is poison. I've done several videos on that, and I will post them below on my YouTube channel. If you're on Instagram and you want to see all the videos that I've done, and they're on my Instagram page too. You can comb through my videos. But if you want to just go where you can see a comprehensive list, I will put them on YouTube under this video. So now they are telling people in sex ed that, oh, if you give oral sex to a man, he should have a condom on. If you go down a woman, you should use dental dam. Now, I've never in my life seen anybody use dental dam when they went down a woman. You can't convince me that sucking on latex and flavored latex condoms you cannot convince me that that's healthy. You cannot convince me that that is healthier than just a penis, just skin, a person's skin. You cannot convince me of that, okay? Now, when you actually, there's tons of articles and lots of research about the chemicals that are on condoms, okay? And they're toxic, okay? They're toxic. Plenty. And so now a woman's putting that in her vagina. Her mucous membranes are very efficient at absorbing this. These chemicals are going to travel to her uterus, cervix, uterus, fallopian tubes, ovaries, okay? And can cause cancers. So, I'm just going to tell you some things about ovarian cancer, okay? Ovarian cancer diagnosis will rise 55% in the next 20 years. That's what's predicted. That's a lot. 55% in 20 years. Ovarian cancer has the lowest survival rate of all cancers. Okay. Yeah. The global survival rates is between 30 and 50%. I'm not gonna get. I'll get more. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into all of this. Yeah, somebody said chemical toxic versus STD toxins. Interesting choice. Well, first of all, the thing that a lot of people don't even understand infectious disease at all, okay, and microbiomes, and how becoming exposed to things actually strengthens your immune system. So when you have kids who are putting things in their mouth and rolling around the dirt and just being, and to adults, it's like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? That's, but that's how kids build their immune system. If you try to raise a kid in a sterile environment, they're going to have a weak immune system. Getting sick and overcoming it strengthens your immune system against future infections and other things, okay? And there's the whole vaccination thing. There's been a lot of that, and that's causing a lot of issues. The fact that cancer rates are so high in young people, okay? Every type of cancer is becoming an epidemic and becoming more common in young people. A lot of people like the food, and the food is an issue. As a nutritionist, as somebody who studies the chemicals in food, and not just the chemicals in food, but the nutritional deficiencies people have. Most people are severely vitamin D deficient. I mean, severe. Like, your vitamin D levels really should be like at 100. Most people are like under 30, especially melanated people. They'd be like at 15. That is really bad. And almost everything, diabetes, hypertension, prostate cancer, every kind of freaking cancer, okay, issues with the eyes, dementia, Alzheimer's, are all linked to vitamin D deficiencies, okay? And I'm not going to go super into that now because I have videos where I talk about that as well. So as somebody who studies those things, it's like, we're not taught about the immune system and how it works. So a lot of people have this fear of so-called infectious diseases that is blown out of proportion and unwarranted if you understand how it works. And if you understand that if you have a strong microbiome, like, I'm not afraid to, like, if somebody in my family is sick and has a cold or something, I'm not afraid to take care of them. I'm not afraid that they're going to make me sick because my microbiome is strong, okay? I don't take antibiotics. I don't use antibacterial hand sanitizers. I've known since 1995 not to use that because it actually destroys your microbiome and weakens your immune system, weakens your defenses, okay? And increases the strength of infectious organisms when you use that. So I don't use that. I haven't used that on me since the 90s, I'm very conscious in making sure my vitamin D levels are high. Okay, I take cod liver oil. I eat vitamin D rich foods, fish eggs when I can, some liver pate when I can, grass-fed butter, ghee, and I take cod liver oil, and I take probiotics, and I try to eat fermented foods. I consume fermented dairy, raw milk, and yogurt and kefir. So I'm very conscious of this, and I've been conscious of this for over a couple of decades, right? I cannot remember the last time I had a cold, okay? I cannot remember the last time I had a cold, okay? I feel like I haven't had a cold in 20 years. Yes, I got COVID in 2022. I got COVID summer 2022, didn't take the jab, would never take that, okay? Got it naturally in 2022. A few days later, I was okay, and I've been fine ever since. Haven't gotten a cold, haven't gotten anything else, right? So a lot of people do not understand, if we can become exposed to infectious disease at any moment, whether or not you get infected with something has to do with your own ecosystem, your microbiome, your own individual little universe. Everybody who's exposed to an infectious organism doesn't get sick. If you get exposed to an infectious organism and you get sick, that's an indication that your microbiome was already off. Your system, your microecosystem in your body was welcoming to that infectious organism. It provided the conditions that infectious organism needed to thrive, because all living things have certain requirements for life. You cannot go jump in the ocean and go live in the ocean. There's plenty of life in the ocean, but it's not the what's going on in the ocean, the oxygen and all that is not what we need as humans. We would suffocate. Even though there's oxygen in the ocean, it's H2O. So there's oxygen there, but it's not the right percentage that we need to thrive. And if the sea creatures try to come up in our house, it would die, even though there's tons of life outside the water, right? We have different requirements for life. The same thing is true of bacteria and viruses. So you have the good bacteria and bad bacteria. They have different requirements for life. So if you have a if you have an ecosystem on your skin is 70% of your immune system, in your gut, in the vagina, right? You have a lot of good bacteria that are producing oxygen, hydrogen peroxide producing bacteria. They're acidic, okay? Because the acidic condition is what kills these infectious organisms. Alkaline intestines or alkaline stomach or alkaline vagina is a breeding ground for disease, okay? It needs to be acidic. So all this alkaline breeds disease stuff is nonsense. It needs to be acidic, okay? So you have these acid-producing, oxygen-producing, hydrogen peroxide-producing bacteria that kill infectious organisms. So now if somebody comes and coughs in your face or touches you with some icky virus or bacteria, it won't thrive. It will die because it cannot survive in the presence of oxygen. So if you have, or in an acidic environment. So if you have a bunch of Lactobacillus acidophilus, you have acid-producing bacteria and hydrogen peroxide-producing bacteria. If you get exposed to that infectious organism, it instantly dies. It cannot thrive. However, if you have an imbalance of gut bacteria, which a lot of people do, okay, it's called intestinal dysbiosis. If you're not going out your way to eat fermented foods and take probiotics, a good probiotic supplement, and avoid antibiotics, and if you're not doing all those things, I can almost tell you have imbalance of bacteria. And if you are somebody who craves sugar all the time, like I can't even, looking at cookies makes my stomach turn, okay? People who are addicted to sugar and like really sweet desserts and looking at brownies and cookies like, that looks good. When you have an imbalance of bacteria, it produces hormones that make you crave sugar. That's why people cannot overcome sugar cravings on their own, because literally they have an imbalance of gut bacteria that is affecting their brain. Okay, we have a gut-brain connection. The same hormones that act in our gut act in our brain. When your gut is out of, when your bacterial balance is off with your gut, it's going to affect your brain, okay? So, after saying that whole thing about infectious disease, so you're trying to, and there's lots of ways to prevent infectious disease. Your microbiome, okay? Coconut oil, lauric acid, and you can look it up. There's many studies that show that lauric acid is super antimicrobial, but it kills lipid-contained viruses. And lipid-contained viruses are the HIV virus, the HPV virus, the herpes virus, the C19 virus. All of those are lipid contained, and lauric acid kills them very efficiently. There are studies that show that people with HIV, when they are consuming large amounts of coconut oil, their viral load decreases like crazy. So there's plenty of studies. This is known. But you're never going to hear it on the news. And you're never going to hear it from your doctor, because doctors don't read research, okay? They really don't. And doctors are so unimpressive to me. There's a few here and there that I'm busy. I'm busy. Okay. And I can't. I'm not free right now. In the freezer. Yeah. Sorry. I'm talking to my dad. So I forgot what I was saying. What was I trying to say? He threw my whole train of thought off. Anyhow, I forgot. So let me just pick up somewhere, okay? So now there's been lots of reports lately about hold on a minute, give me a second. Yeah, lauric acid. Thank you for telling me that. Lauric acid, okay? I actually had a video removed from YouTube because I was talking about this. I had a video, it's on my Instagram still, but it was called Why It's Critically Important to Understand the Biochemistry of Fats. That was the name of the video, okay? And the whole video, now I have a background in nutritional biochemistry. I've taken nutritional biochemistry on an undergraduate level, a graduate level at an Ivy League school. From my professor also taught the medical students, okay? Taking biochemistry again. There's a lot of biochemistry in my current graduate program in medical cannabis science. So I'm well versed in biochemistry. And I had a book written by an ex-chairperson of nutrition at the University of Maryland. And even in her book, she cites studies, because it's been known for a long time that lauric acid is super antimicrobial and kills viruses, lipid-contained viruses, the ones they tell you that there's no cure for. Okay, it's not the only thing that cures them. Okay, because that just cures them. Kills them. Let me say that, because those hydrogen peroxide producing bacteria that I'm telling you about also do that, and this is well documented. I have several books, studies that you can look at. Okay. So instead of just saying, okay, I'm gonna have sex, let me make sure my microbiome is good, just period, for preventing all infectious disease. Maybe let's use some coconut oil, let's use some aloe, okay? Lemon juice, all kinds of things, right? No, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna use condoms made from latex and polyurethane that are toxic, that are covered in toxic chemicals, okay? And chemicals that cause cancer, cause infertility, cause the total disruption of the microflora, of the bacterial flora in a woman's vagina, okay? Which is critically important. I don't think that that's a good solution, okay? Now, there's been a lot of talk lately about, I don't know how to say it, I don't know if it's phthalates. I think phthalates is the way. And there's been a lot of people, I'm constantly posting on my Instagram, other scientists and doctors talking about phthalates and how cancer-causing and toxic they are. These forever chemicals that are found in a lot of plastics and stuff like that. Like I don't drink bottles of water out of plastic. Okay, I actually don't drink a ton of water, period, because when you drink a ton of it, you're drinking tap water is full of chemicals that's freaking toxic, and then the bottled water is full of microplastics. So really, you should be getting your water from a spring in a glass, but who really can do that, you know? So water is a problem, and finding water that's not going to poison you is difficult, okay? But, so when I start to think, right, like, okay, I was looking at the study from India where they were showing that the pads that women use, okay, the sanitary napkins that women use on their menstrual cycle have a lot of phthalates in them, and they cause cancer and infertility. So, and now women, we get our cycle every month. Women are putting sanitary napkins or tampons inside of them. That's one source of toxins. Then you have toilet paper. Now, a lot of men don't think about this because, you know, but the type of toilet paper, like when people be having scented toilet paper and colored toilet paper, and even regular toilet paper, a lot of it has a whole bunch of chemicals too. That is very bad, you know, for the mucous membranes for women's vaginal health. Now you bring condoms into the case that have several toxic chemicals on it. okay, and the vaginal, and that includes phthalates. And there are several studies that are showing that there are large amounts of microplastics being found in women's reproductive organs, okay, in the endometrium, the fallopian tubes, the ovaries, the vagina. There's lots of microplastics. So it's like, critical thinking. Where could these microplastics be coming from? Could it possibly be that condoms are contributing to that? Could it possibly be? So this is how, like, I make connections and I go look at research. A lot of times the research I find just further confirms what I already know. Okay, what I already know. So in this research, okay, so I'm going on about ovarian cancer. When a woman, first of all, gets ovarian cancer, all they want to do is like cut things out, do things, cut your ovaries out, cut your fallopian tubes out, give you chemotherapy, give you surgery, more chemotherapy. And there's no talk. When I hear doctors talk about, this ovarian cancer issue and how can women prevent it, all they talk about is getting screened. Getting screened, and I listened to this doctor say, she said, getting screened can decrease your risk of getting cancer. That made no sense. Getting screened cannot decrease your risk of getting cancer. Getting screened can decrease your risk maybe of dying from it because maybe you caught it early. Okay, but it's not going to decrease your chances of getting a positive test. What decreases your chances of getting a positive test is what the behaviors that you're doing. What are you doing? Like, people don't get cancer out of nowhere. People don't get any of these diseases out of nowhere. It doesn't just happen. It doesn't just fall out the sky. It's not like you got hit by a bullet that somebody was outside shooting. No, when you get these diseases, there is something that you're exposed to and that you have not been doing or have been doing for years that has caused this, or whatever time period. So it's important to dissect and ask questions and really look at the specifics, which doctors never do. Okay, so ovarian cancer, like the testing sometimes results in false positives, right? So it's hard to even test. But talcum powder, okay, talcum powder has been linked to ovarian cancer. And 20 years ago, it was very common for talcum powder to be on condoms, okay? So talcum powder is known to be extremely cancer-causing and cause infertility. And the condoms were covered in them 20 years ago. So they had convinced people to have safe sex, okay? And the only way that you would have safe sex, even though people have been having sex for thousands of years on this planet, and even though these so-called infectious diseases have been around since before humans, okay, and just became an epidemic like in the past 40 years or so, and the only way that we can be safe is to use this product manufactured, okay, with all these chemicals on it, and nobody's using it when they have oral sex. I don't know anybody who does, okay? I've never seen that. I've never seen anybody giving head to someone with a condom or with dental dam, okay? And even if you were, now you're ingesting those chemicals in your mouth, okay? Whatever chemicals they put on that stuff, okay? That's like licking saran wrap. That's not healthy. It's not even healthy to put saran wrap on your food, okay? So, they had talcum powder on these condoms, right? 20 years ago. Now, and then you have women who are using powder on their genitals. Women who thought to be fresh, you can't have little moistness down there. We can't have any wetness or moistness, so let's put powder in our underwear. Linked to ovarian cancer, okay? So, endometrial, uterine, and ovarian cancer are also linked to chemical hair relaxers, okay? So much so that if you have been diagnosed with one of those cancers and you have been getting perms, you might actually be able to get money. But who wants to get money, like, when you could just not have cancer? I mean, that's how I see it. I don't want to damage myself and get money later. Like, how about let's just not... But I'm just saying, it's linked to that. And women who have used relaxers, okay, have a 147% higher risk of developing certain cancers. 147%. Like, I had a perm when I was a kid, and I remember my aunt, who was like a natural hair pioneer, she used to always talk about that. You're putting those chemicals right in your scalp, and your brain's right there. And when I was a kid, I'm like, oh, whatever. My hair has been locked now for 24 years, okay? I will never put a perm in my hair again, okay? I'm locked for life. My hair's been locked for 24 years. But I did have a perm for years. And there are times, and now all my research, I freaked myself out, but there were times when I used to wonder, like, I used to have this spot on my head that used to bother me sometimes. I'm like, do I have a tumor or something? Like, I used to really, it cannot be good to be putting those chemicals on your scalp. For years, perms, okay? Hair dyes, okay? When I dye I haven't dyed my hair in some years, but when I did, I just dye the tips. I cringe when I see people dye their hair from the scalp. It's so toxic that if a woman is pregnant, they're like, don't do it. Don't even put it on your tips if you're pregnant. That's how toxic it is, okay? So, so the Ovarian Research Alliance is urging women to get their fallopian tubes removed. But not just to go and remove your fallopian tubes, but like if a woman is getting some other kind of gynecological surgery, they're like, oh, just take your fallopian tubes out. And that's the medical, because ovarian cancer originates in the fallopian tubes, okay? So that's the medical community's answer to everything. Just cut it out. Just remove it. You know how many women are getting hysterectomies? And even if a woman is done having kids, the ovaries are still secreting hormones that are very important. The uterus, even if a woman is done having kids, hasn't had kids, whatever, it still plays an important role. And when you remove that organ out of your body, it creates empty space, and other organs can shift and fall out of place, and it can cause breathing problems and all kinds of other issues, okay? It's not minor. And they just do it like routine. Take it out, take it out, take it out. When there are things like castor oil packs and vaginal steams, herbs that you can consume, many different things that you can do to help heal that area, okay, without cutting stuff out and taking it out. So the phthalates thing, okay, so I see this study from India talking about, and the microplastics in the vagina and in the reproductive system has been on my mind, and I'm like, there's no way that condoms can't be a source of it, and there are studies that show that they are, okay, because condoms also have phthalates, all right, and so do sex toys and clothes, okay. Now with the clothes situation, it is extremely difficult to find clothes made from real materials, okay. Almost everything now is made from polyester and rayon and all these artificial fabrics, plastic clothes, okay. It's hard to find things as pure wool, pure cashmere, pure cotton, unless you're rich and you're going to spend tons of money, or you want something that's not even that cute, because now everything is made from plastic, okay. And so these phthalates are getting in, you know, to our skin, into our system. So if you have women who are walking around, especially, you know, like workout pants and stuff like that, which I'm a trainer, I'm in the gym a lot, so I wear workout clothes. All those workout clothes, they're basically plastic clothes, okay? They have phthalates. So phthalates can get into your system from your clothes. They can get into a woman's vagina from pads and tampons, into her reproductive system from condoms, from sex toys. And talk to a sexologist, and all they're going to tell you is condoms, lube, have a collection of sex toys, all of these things which are damaging the health of a woman's vagina, damaging her flora, okay? And because I'm really a nerd about that and about the body, I'm just going to add something else that I wasn't going to talk about in this video, but just talking about the absorption capacity of the vagina, mucous membranes in general, but the vaginal canal really has active transport methods, active transport systems for many hormones, okay? And many hormones that are contained in semen. And you have, people always say, oh, semen is high in nutrients. It has a lot of protein. It has a lot of vitamins. Yeah, okay, yeah, but what's even more is that it has a lot of hormones, okay? And those hormones can be absorbed by a woman. And those hormones affect her in a variety of ways. And when you look at the vagina, there's like whole active transport systems, okay, to efficiently and quickly absorb those hormones. And so what happens is you see women who are going through menopause, women who are postmenopausal, who are on hormone replacement therapy. You know, they have to take estrogen, they have to take testosterone, they're taking DHEA. And I always think, well, what's the natural source of that? And again, I told you, I'm a sacred sexual educator, you know. And so I don't align myself with what sexologists talk about. Most people who've gone to schools have been indoctrinated. And I myself have gone to schools, you know, like I have a bachelor's degree. I was in a master's program before and a master's program now. But I understand the game, and I understand the indoctrination that happens. And I understand how to dig deeper and use my critical thinking skills and read research, not just listen to what's being regurgitated to me, which is what most students do, right? And when it comes to sex, because of religion and everything, there's so much shame and negative, and sex ed is always negative. No one talks about the healing properties, right? And so for me, everything that it is that I do when I study has to do with optimal performance of the body. And so there are a lot of dangers that can happen for women going on hormones artificially. Estrogen therapy and hormone replacement therapy that a lot of postmenopausal women or menopausal women go on is also linked to ovarian cancer. And what I've learned as a practitioner and a student of health sciences in the body and just nature is that when you try to bypass nature, it backfires on you. This is the reason why I don't do pharmaceuticals. You won't see me take an antibiotic. You won't see me take Tylenol. Like, I don't do any of it. I'll use cannabis though. You know, I'll use food, but, you know, I don't take that stuff. So, and it's really, people have to make a decision, like, are you trying to, because a lot of people don't really care about health like that, or they're not really trying to do the work to get their body back into balance. So, is that your goal? Is your goal to really get your body to a healthy state, which means that it's balanced, that whatever's going on, that you're looking at why it's going on, and doing what's necessary to get things in balance, or you just want to take a pill, or get surgery and be done with it? And then move on to the next problem that you're going to have because you didn't deal with the reason why you had the first issue. And things are all connected, okay? People be having 6 different issues not realizing it's all linked to the same two things. You got 6 issues because your bacterial balance is off and your vitamin D levels are low. And now you're going to an eye doctor and a skin doctor and a gastroenterologist, and they're all giving you different meds when it's all linked to the fact that fix your gut microbiome. Get your vitamin D levels up. Okay? And also, yeah, and so the thing I was saying about the hormones is like, I haven't seen any doctors tell women, like, you have some women who are postmenopausal or they've gone through menopause and they're going through all these hormonal issues and they're, you know, should I take hormone replacement therapy and estrogen therapy, which can cause a bunch of issues. No doctor ever says, you know, if you have a partner, just get some semen from him, okay, and absorb your hormones that way. Have more good sex, okay? And hopefully she's with a man or her male partner cares about his health and he's taking care of his health, and because that's what men are supposed to do too, making sure that their semen quantity and quality is on point, okay? And you have a female partner, you don't need hormone replacement therapy. But nobody talks about that. There's no discussion about that. And this is also very well documented. All I do is read studies. And this is a lot of the stuff I've known for years. I just don't always talk about it because the things that I understand and know is foreign to a lot of people. Most people are so indoctrinated to believe one thing that when I start talking about this stuff, they just instantly shut down and they just think that I'm crazy or something. Okay? But everything that I'm saying is scientifically backed up. Okay? And so there is, and I'll post it on my YouTube page, there's studies, German studies and everything that are talking about the toxins that are on condoms, okay, the cancer-causing chemicals. And so it makes me wonder, and then you're telling women, society and religion shames people, oh, don't have sex with people. No, but have sex with this sex toy. Don't have too many partners, but go have sex with this sex toy. This putting all this plastic and everything inside of you. You know, constantly. So you have women who, the condoms they use, the toilet paper they use, the pads they use, all of that is reducing phthalates a bunch of other chemicals into their system. Okay, right in front of me right now, I'm looking at several studies on my computer. Sex toys exposed as an overlooked source of microplastics. This article is from November 16, 2023, New Atlas. Another article from 2021 from OSHA. Harmful chemicals, it says it's called Detox Your Sex Life. Harmful chemicals like parabens, phthalates, and BPA are finding their way into your bedroom through products like condoms, lube, and sex toys. Condoms, lube, and sex toys. And condoms dry women out, and our own natural vaginal fluids are also antimicrobial. And do you know that semen also has a lot of antimicrobial properties, okay? But a woman's vaginal fluids do. And maintaining her vitamin A levels, okay? Vitamin A Vitamin A is critical for the health and protection of our mucous membranes. And despite the SABI nonsense and this rhetoric that mucus is the cause of all disease, that's a lie. Mucus is actually a part of our immune system, okay? And so, like when you're blowing your nose, I mean, if someone has excessive mucus where they're choking on it, then that's not good. But when you're blowing your nose and it's your body eliminating, you can have toxins and infectious things, and your body is eliminating it out. Same thing is true. Hold on a minute. Okay. Same thing is true with the vagina. Yes, there's always glass. Yes, people can use glass. That's very true. Glass is always good. Even with storing your food, you should store your food in glass as opposed to plastic. To me, I'd rather just, but I'm not going to talk about me. Yeah, it's glass, okay? And then I see a study from the NIH, male exposure to BPA and semen quality. It says that for men, it reduces sperm quality. Okay? Then you have the New York Times, 2021. This chemical can impair fertility, but is hard to avoid. Hormone-disrupting phthalates can be found in everything from plastics and household goods to personal care products. I mean, article after article. I see another website, Raising Natural Kids. What's not in and on your condoms matter. Okay? Many people are aware of what they put in their mouths, on their skin matters. Okay? When we put things that have BPA, PVC, phthalates, pesticides, okay? So, I'm just looking at just things that's in my, pesticides and other toxins that are allowed in our everyday products, in our food, into our blood, into our bodies. These toxins are later found in the bloodstream and have lasting effects, including that of cancer, allergies, and reproductive harm. Yet, how many people stop to think about putting these same chemicals into his or her body down below? We know the toxic effects that tampons can have, but what about condoms, okay? So, somebody said, how we bring awareness to friends about all the microplastics, like in stinky perfumes causing hormone disruptions, and all of it's connected to fertility. Some people can't be saved, okay? Because even when I do these videos, I post these videos on YouTube, I get 150 views. I don't get paid for these videos. Hardly anybody watches them. There's a select group of people who have enough sense to watch and listen, and they learned a lot from me, or they worked with me personally. But if I dance, I can get 5,000 views by the morning if I post a dance video. But when I'm talking about stuff like this, most people don't care. Okay? I do So for me, I put it out for those who want it. I care about myself and what I'm doing with my body. And I take care of those in my family who want my help. Sometimes, you know, I have certain family members, a lot of family members who don't think I know what I'm talking about. And I don't really talk to them about it, about certain things. But luckily my mother and my father, especially my mom, really trust the things I say about health, and she's really on it. And I'm, you know, but I can't try to save the world with that, you know. And there's a lot of people who are just very much indoctrinated by what the healthcare system has been telling them, which is almost everything they tell you, the opposite is true. Almost everything. Okay? So it's really, really important, you know, and it could be tough for me because, like I said, I've been studying infectious disease since the 90s. I understand very well about microbiomes, how viruses work, how bacteria works. Most people have never taken microbiology. Most people are just listening to, you know, what you're constantly being drilled into your head about diseases and how to prevent them. I mean, like, during C-19 was ridiculous because walking around with masks on was not helping anything. It was making it worse. And there's top scientists who wrote books about that. Okay? Because it's like, with that kind of thinking, everybody might as well walk around in a plastic suit because you can always be exposed to infectious organisms. Always. You never know. So you need to be ready and prepared. You need to have a micro ecosystem where if you're exposed to something, it can't survive. Otherwise, you're going to walk around in a sterile environment in a plastic suit your whole life, and that actually will weaken your immune system. That's not how you develop a strong immune system. And then people will be afraid of coming in contact with something naturally, but are quick to go take a vaccine that is full of toxins, okay? Full of them. And I think that's also one of the reasons why we're seeing so many cancers, especially in younger people. Yes, it's the food. Yes, it's the cell phones and the radiation, okay? But it's also the vaccines. They're also linked to cancer, okay? And I haven't even finished doing my research. It's like I just know certain things, so I just, in my mind, I'm like, I bet you this is linked to this. And I look it up. Like I said, I bet you there's microplastics in the vagina because of condom use. Look it up. Study after study after study after study is showing that condoms is not just adding to microplastics in the vagina and in the uterus and in the endometrium, but all of the other, you know, chemicals that's on it is also accumulating and causing problems. That's common sense to me. Just because I understand, you know, it's common sense to me. I didn't need to look up a study, but I did, and there's several studies that say that. People forget the key things to health, like just look at what your ancestors. It don't take much to take a look at their diets and what significance it played to our evolution. I agree. But people are believing, oh, cholesterol is bad. Let me eat turkey bacon and not pork bacon. Let me use this, you know, canola oil and these seed oils instead of butter and lard. People have been using butter and lard since the beginning of time. People have been eating eggs and red meat and liver since the beginning of time. And people were living a long life with perfect eyesight, good health. Okay, they keep telling us that we're living longer now than we ever had before. That's a lie. That's only true when you compare it to groups of people, usually white people, who lived in urban areas in unsanitary conditions. That was a cesspool for disease, okay? But there were plenty of people living to 100. There were plenty of civilizations with sanitarians, and they had all their faculties about them. They didn't have Alzheimer's, they weren't obese, they weren't diabetic, they didn't have those problems. They were functional. And so you're like, yeah, what did they eat? They weren't eating kale salad and turkey bacon. They weren't. They were eating some pork, they were eating some liver, they were eating some eggs, they were drinking some milk. They weren't eating salad, okay? So you're right about that. And when it comes to sex, it's like all the focus is on what to be afraid of. And, you know, there's never any focus on the healing properties of it. And truly how to maintain your sexual health. Because maintaining your sexual health is not just, oh, I'm going to throw in a condom. Like, that's like if you're just like, you're not doing anything to maintain your body health, but you think, oh, I'm just going to throw on a jacket and go outside. Like, you need to take care of yourself. Like, what are you doing to do that? People always thinking that something outside of them is going to save them, when it's your own system. So in me looking at these studies, I also found, because I could talk about the vaginal flora. The flora in your gut, in your skin, in your vagina is critical, okay? Critically important. You want to protect that with your life. And every time you use an artificial antibacterial agent, not only does it kill all the bacteria, but the bad bacteria become more aggressive, okay? You create super strains of bacteria. So I found this other study, right? And it's effects of the feminine hygiene, effects of, this study's from 2013, effects of feminine hygiene products on the vaginal mucosal biome. Okay, so the bacteria, the microbiome, and the vaginal mucosa. And this right here says, over-the-counter feminine hygiene products come with little warning about possible side effects. The study evaluates in vitro their effects on Lactobacillus crispatus, which is dominant in the normal vaginal microbiota and helps maintain a healthy mucosal barrier essential for normal reproductive function and prevention of STDs and gynecologic cancer. Okay? Thank you for the nail compliment. So you see how this study said, what did I just told you? I just told you that the mucosal barrier, which is vitamin A, is important for that. And also the good bacteria is important for that. And it's critical. And this says right here that it's that good bacteria in the vaginal microbiome is critical for the prevention of STDs, gynecologic cancer, and for normal reproductive function. Okay? So you got that. Now it goes on. A feminine moisturizer, Vagisil, personal lubricant, and douche were purchased over the counter. A topical spermicide, Naloxone 9, known to alter the vaginal immune barrier, was used as a control. L. crispatus was incubated with each product for 2 hours and 24 hours and then seeded on an agar colony forming units, okay? Well, I'm not going to go to that. Let me just go to the results. I'm not going to read all that to you. The results. This is what's important. The Naloxone 9, okay, and Vagisil suppressed lactobacillus growth at 2 hours. Okay, so at 2 hours it suppressed it. And it killed all bacteria at 24 hours. The lubricant decreased bacterial growth insignificantly at 2 hours, but it killed all of the bacteria at 24 hours. The douche did not have a significant effect. At full strength, all products suppressed epithelial viability, and all except the douche suppressed epithelial-associated colony-forming units. So what that means, the colony-forming units are the good bacteria that are establishing colonies. Okay, they're called colony-forming units. So this is saying that at full strength, all products suppressed epithelial viability. Okay, so that's like really the health of your epithelial lining. And all except the douche suppressed epithelial-associated colony-forming units. Okay, when applied at non-toxic dose in the absence of bacteria, the douche and moisturizer induced an increase. You know what? Okay, I'm gonna stop talking because this video is about to end in a minute and 30 seconds. And if I don't end this video now and save it, I'm going to lose it because this happened to me before. So I'm gonna stop talking here. I think you guys get the point. Maybe I'll do a part 2. I'm definitely going to continue to talk on my subscriptions, okay? Well, I'll continue this talk and going into this research. My subscriptions on IG. If you just joined this, definitely listen to this from the beginning because I'm sure you'll learn a lot. If you learned something from this video, please like it, please share it. Follow me on YouTube, follow me on IG. Take care of yourself. We want to stay cancer-free, okay? So have a good evening, people. Bye. Thanks for listening.